Classic Restos is proudly brought to you by Shannons, where you can sign up to be a member of the Shannons Club, your local Holden certified service centre, Pace Farm the enjoyable egg, and Heron Forbes Machinery House, where you can buy online. G'day, I'm Fletch and welcome to the show, just out of Lismore, New South Wales. Today I'm a little lost for words. The story of a guy on a 100-acre property. Original machinery, unrestored, most of it that still runs. This, a whole lot more, along with a rich family history that you're about to see in this week's Classic Restos on the Road. On a property specialising in weeds, grows machinery in no set order. You're about to see a guy that is quirky, has a heart of gold, and is about as dinky-die Aussie as you will find. Many of his unrestored vehicles come to us with great emotion. Meet Allan Keys. In between the paspalum, carpet snakes and a muddy highway running through his property, shipping containers come standard. An eclectic collection of mainly Dodge Brothers tradition resides. There hasn't been that many occasions that I've seen a collection quite like this. It's overwhelming and it's wow after wow.
This is a 1926 Dodge. Bud-bodied sedan, fully imported from America. It was a postal vehicle at a place called Trafalgar, and it drove down to Goulburn, back to Trafalgar and up into the mountains every day for 32 years. In here is everything you need to restore a car. Over there I can shave heads. Over there that machine will bore cylinders. I've got another. There's line boring machines for the big end main bearings in an engine block. There's English wheels and shrinkers and stretchers. These are some of the steering wheels that I make. That's a cylinder boring machine that you mount on top of the engine. We've got Internationals and Dodges. That one's a 26 and that one over there is a restored, reconditioned 1916 Dodge engine. About 1915 Hornsby. Valve facing machine. A woodworking lathe. Moulding machine. We use that for doing the ribs along the doors in the vintage cars. So that pattern that goes on there. A twin row upholstery canvas sewing machine. Does twin stitching an inch apart. The bandsaw was, I got it out of off a suburban street as a garden ornament in Bulimba in Brisbane. Bought it home, put a couple of bearings in it and got a bandsaw blade for it and put it to work. Underneath here is a 1964 318 Dodge motor out of a AT4 575 truck, which was known as a midnight flyer. They did the paper runs out of the cities. For the previous owner, it did 750,000 miles without being touched. And for me, from 1983 through till it died, it did another 750,000 miles. That is a Conrod gudgeon pin aligning machine. That is an original 1920s Repco line boring machine for doing the main bearings in. Above you there is a chassis of a straight 8 DeSoto, 1929, 28-29. Underneath that, there was a local engine builder in Banglo. He built Reading engines, and that was the old shaping machine that he cut his gears on and done all the flat surfaces on the engine blocks. This is the running gear for the 26 sedan next door. It sat in a shed from 1958 till we brought it home 4 or 5 years ago. We pulled the sump off it, cleaned the gunky oil out of it, fired the points up, started her up and drove her down the road. Brakes worked, light switched on. 60 years it had been sitting. This is my youngest son's 28 Dodge Utility, standard 6, and he's done most of the work on it himself. It's probably got another 2.5 weeks and he'd have it on the road. The one on the left here is a 1916 Dodge, exactly the same as my great-grandfather bought in 1916. And this one here is a 1928-29 straight 8 DeSoto Richards body made in Adelaide. That's a 1983 610 Acco, 4-wheel drive on spider wheels, 345 V8 petrol motor with a 5-speed overdrive full of gearbox. This is a 1919 Fleet Track Crawl. That's the 54 Plymouth Cranbrook, and the story is we want to get it back on the road looking like that.
We've always had a few cars. They're all special. The T-Bird.
Oh, that's mine.
The Combi for when we want to get away. The XR8.
It's going to be a classic.
They're all insured with Shannons,
We've also got Shannon's home and contents cover.
which helps protect our automotive collectibles, tools and memorabilia in the home and garage. If you're motoring enthusiasts like us, it's got to be.
Shannon's.
Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts. Call 13 46 46 for a quote.
When it comes to cars, there are some brands that will remain with us forever, no matter what. The Holden was always Australia's own car, held high in the hearts of many. Those lines, that chrome, the stories around them and the people that owned them. From the classic through to the final, you can still trust in genuine Holden and AC Delco parts, available through the Holden Certified Service Network. Here's something else that'll tickle your cylinders. 1939 Federal truck. Unrestored, completely original. Can you believe this? Listen to how it runs.
It was used by Cronulla Carrying Company to carry steam boilers from 1939 to 1952 or something. We often wondered why it had such a heavy I-beam frame underneath it and 1.5 inches thick floor. And then we found out one day at the Evans Head Air Show, the driver come along and he said, I used to drive that. And then he told me the story on it. Anyway, the following year, the guy comes along and he says, I remember that truck and the driver. The very next day, a lady comes along and she said, I remember that truck. She said, I used to be the secretary for that company. So we went round, we hopped in the Federal and we went round to the guy's house and they had a bit of a get-together.
Special bloke right here. How are you, Al?
I'm good, Fletch.
That's good, mate. Good. No chance of putting a mower through the place before I got here?
No, mate, no.
Brush cut, maybe?
No. No, I did that in 20 minutes yesterday afternoon.
No, there's some parts here where I can see you've really cleaned up the place, haven't you?
That's correct.
I just love it how things appear and you've just got metal and machinery growing through the weeds. That's a brilliant feature.
That is, yeah. Yeah.
Al, thank you for the invitation here. Before we... you're not going to see Al's property on this episode. Let me just make that perfectly clear. Be lucky to see 2%, but we'll give it a red hot go. Al, before we go much further, how long has your family been on the property? Give us the family rundown.
We've been here in this area since 1884. My great-grandfather and his two brothers come here from Ireland in 1884, and they cut down the big scrub. They raised six kids, and my grandfather was the eldest of them, and he bought the property next door, 100 acres, in 1926.
Now, this is where things get emotional. Now, Al, tell us the story of this very car beside us.
Yeah, this car, my grandfather went to the Lismore show in 1926, and because the family had a 16 Dodge, which he'd never driven, he had Dodge in his mind because they were renowned for being able to travel on these roads, was one of the reasons he bought it without getting stuck. He looked at a Dodge and he contacted Robinsons, who were the dealers in Lismore in that period, by letter, and over the next few months he organised a car. They sent a gentleman to Brisbane on a bus, picked this car up. They brought it to the farm here on the 25th of September 1927, and for 10 days, up until the 5th of October 1927, he taught grandfather how to drive it, maintain it, do whatever had to be done with it. He took him to the Banglo police station where the car was registered in his name and got a driver's licence.
And we've got that original registration paper with us today.
That's correct.
The photos we're looking at, it's this car going away on holidays.
That's right. In the 1930s, they used to go to Tenterfield, which took them a whole day.
So to put it in terms of our modern cars of today, how long would it take to get from here to Tenterfield?
Now it would probably take about 2.25 hours.
They were their agility, they were where they could go. It was quite amazing.
Yes,
and
well,
it goes without saying, unless you've got a four-wheel drive today, just your standard two-wheel drive car cannot go the places these can.
That's correct, because for one thing, it hasn't got the clearance. And the other thing, it hasn't got a very torquey, slow revving motor that you've got absolute control over the revs.
Well, the thing takes off in top gear, doesn't it?
It takes off in top gear. Even on the very slightest, 1 degree slope, it will start off in top gear. This car has an adjustable clutch in it, and it's been adjusted twice in its life. In 1,000,000 miles.
That's more testament, I think, to the person that drives it as well.
Oh, not really. That's.
But if you're a sloppy driver, you're going to need more than 2 adjustments in that time.
Yeah, that's right.
So, engine up front, what's the size of that, Al?
The engine is almost 3.5 litres. It's a 4-cylinder. It's a 3 7/8 bore with a 4-inch stroke, which I'm not metric.
That's very talky stuff, isn't it?
Very talky stuff.
We look at those black and white photos with the original people of the day dressed up and presentably dressed next to their brand new Dodge, and here's that same car today, just sitting like this.
Yeah, and well, it gives me the lump in the throat every now and then, and I think that I've been driving this since 1971. I drove it to work almost every day of my working life. It has let me down once since 1971.
Bloody unreliable Dodges.
Yeah. I nearly wrote a letter to him.
It was out of warranty too, Al, wasn't it? Yeah. Now, on that note, not just saying this because I'm here with Al, but we took this for a little drive down the muddy highway here that runs through the block. And I was sitting in the back and I was astounded at the comfort. The seats are soft. And going over the rough stuff, I was very surprised at the comfort that this car gave.
This is the last of 300 years of horse-drawn technology. They were actually using the springing that were in the best of the last horse-drawn vehicles.
Yeah, so what you're saying is by that time they got it all nutted out. They got the springs right.
This is the original canister that was underneath the front seat. I've just taken the lid off it, And inside are everything you need to know. How to repair a tyre, how to maintain your electricals like your horn, your starter motor, your generator, vacuum filled feed system, your ignition switches and all those sorts of things. They're all in this container.
Okay, now Al's got some shipping containers here on the property. Stay where you are, because after the break we'll be opening up some doors. Well, Al will be opening up some doors, and we'll see what's inside those. What do you reckon, Al?
That's a good idea, Fletch.
Righto. Let's do that.
Yep.
When I was a kid, I loved cars. Still do. The 57 Cadillac Eldorado Brougham was the most advanced car in the world. Cost more than a Rolls. Hand-built with a stainless steel roof, cruise control, electric seats, and would you believe, air suspension. American iron. It's a passion Shannons understand. That's why they insure my daily drive, the caddy, my bike, even the house.
Call Shannons on 13 46 46. Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts.
They may not be making the classic Holden anymore, but the legacy lives on. You can still have a Holden certified service using genuine Holden and AC Delco quality parts at over 180 centres across Australia. Go to holden.com.au to find your nearest centre. Book your Holden in, maintain the pride. Laid up cover is important. Perhaps you need some. If you think you do, why not give Shannons a call for a quote and a chat on 134646. Don't forget too, the Shannons Club awaits you. For more information, visit shannons.com.au. Welcome back. I don't usually film like this, but on today's location I don't have much of an option because Al is such an interactive type of guy and there's just so much here to see. Earlier we filmed Al give us a bit of a conductive tour through his workshop area, show us what was inside there. Have a look at this. What's the story with this, Al?
It's 1922. Belongs to a mate of mine. It was going to be used in a movie with Russell Crowe, and the movie was going to be called Eucalyptus. So that's what it's called, Eucalyptus. We've got in here a 1915 international truck from the First World War. Not restored. Until 3 years ago, it was used every year in an Anzac parade somewhere. The engine in this is a Monday morning after a hard weekend or a very tired Friday. They put it in back front. It runs off the camshaft and it has run in 40 degrees plus heat, and you can still stick your finger in the radiator. Yeah, this truck was used on the docks in Brisbane as a runaround vehicle in 1915 when the Anzacs went from Brisbane to Albany to go to Gallipoli. Well, there's a 1923-24 Dodge sedan down the back of this one, and this one's got more parts of my 26 sedan. This is the brand new roof I have built for my 26 sedan.
Oh, look at that down the back. That's it.
Yeah,
It's just sitting
put a
here.
bit of petrol in it and off she goes.
It's just timeless, Al, isn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely timeless.
This is the new roof I spent nearly 2 weeks building for.
Oh, that's beautiful.
This is a 1905 Hornsby surface ignition engine. It runs on lighting kerosene, which was what they used in lamps and kinds of fuel right through the 1800s into the early 1900s. And it was one of the cheapest and efficientest way of making an engine run in that period. So first we've got to start a blow lamp to start the engine. The engine's very low compression and it weighs about a tonne and it produces 3.5 really good horsepower. We're putting lighting kerosene. They used them in kerosene primuses. Putting pressure inside this big cast iron blow lamp to force the kerosene into the blow lamp, into the burner of the blow lamp. This is a high pressure injected engine from 1905. Just pump the kerosene up and it'll start running out here in a moment. There it goes. Now what I'm going to do now, this has got a three-way tap on this thing, and I apply a little bit of air to increase the heat out of the methylated spirits. This is a 1912 gel bar, one of 4 of its type and size made in Ballarat in 1912. It's a supercharged 2-stroke. It's a petrol starting engine and runs on 75% diesel and 25% petrol when it gets up to temperature. This is a 1920 Crosley supercharged 2-stroke diesel, and it was used as a engine to drive a compressor to start the Davy Paxman power station engine in Lismore, and it was supposed to have been only started 11 times in its life. Right, I've got it going. Open this up. It's a bypass tap on the high pressure injection, and I pump the lever over here until I see diesel coming up there. Righto, we've got diesel. Screw that back on again. Give it a couple of primes. Produces 11 horsepower at 270 revolutions a minute.
Allan, you're nothing short of an amazing guy. You know that, don't you?
Not really.
No, seriously.
Yeah.
You're very
I'm just willing to have a go at anything.
But you're a humble sort of a bloke.
Yeah.
You're surrounded by technology that kicked off the country. Our early grandparents, the pioneers of this country, these stationary engines, and as you said, some of the bigger ones belonging to contractors back in the time. Your knowledge and your ability to pull things off and get things going is just so impressive.
Yeah.
Now we're standing in one of Allan's sheds here, one of many, and as I said earlier in the show, this is just a small percentage of just some of what Al has here. Above us, I know there's 2 cars in the rafters. What's the story on those, Al?
The one near at the front here, it's a 1927. It's the same as our old family car. The one above us here is a straight 8. Wow. And it was a local car here. It was one of the few local cars that I got when I was a kid.
Okay, well look, it's come to that time of the day, Alan, where we're out of time. It's been an absolute pleasure spending the day with you here today.
Yeah.
It's one of these places, of course, where you can just keep walking and walking and walking and never ending. I'm going to take this opportunity to thank you.
Yeah, well, thanks for
very much,
Classic
Alan.
Restos for coming, and
That's all right, mate.
very nice to meet you.
You too, Alan. It's a
Yeah.
pleasure being here, mate. You take care of yourself.
Yeah.
And thanks again for your time, hey?
You're welcome.
Good on you, buddy. Well done.
Yeah.
Thank you. Oh, by the way, I like your laugh too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're happy bloke.
Well,
eh?
I've always said if you can't laugh about it, it's not worth getting up out of bed.
There you go, mate. There you go. And that's why you're the age you are, and that's why you're as good as you are. Well, good on you. Well, I hope you've enjoyed just some of what Allan Keys has preserved. An innovative guy that surrounds himself with technology from yesteryear that works just so well. Amazing is a word not strong enough to describe what we have seen here today. Until next week, no matter where you're watching Classic Restos from, please ride and drive safe. I'm Fletch, and I thank you very much for watching. You can like and follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/ClassicRestosTV and watch catch-up episodes at shannons.com.au. Classic Restos is proudly brought to you by Shannons, where you can sign up to be a member of the Shannons Club, your local Holden certified service centre, Pace Farm the enjoyable egg, and Heron Forbes Machinery House, where you can buy online.